Hi everyone, thank you so much for tuning into my tarot channel. My name is Paulina, and I'm going to, that was my dog kicking. She likes to kick things. Probably she just wants you to know she's here. She's here, her name is Daphne. She has Parker stuck in her ears, but I'm not going to touch them because she'll get angry. She likes to roll and things sometimes. You'll hear her snoring and snorting. Anyway, I'm just introducing her in the reading, just letting you know there's a third party here, not alone here. There's another energy. Okay, so I actually had the idea to do a channeled message from Spirit, which sounds like you would think that all of my readings are, but no, you would be wrong. This is a very specific channeled message that I'm sure three people will watch. I keep saying that. It's so funny. I don't know why I keep saying that. But actually, I like also having these as like a portfolio, because there's been a lot of times, not a lot of times, but there's been several times when I've done real life readings for people. And they've wanted to like see what I've done, what other kinds of readings I've done, and I just be like, here, look at my YouTube. And they had no idea I even had social media, so it's like helpful to be like, here's an example. And I just love it. And I'm seeing other readers who are like even more new than me, and they don't get like any views and they're still going, and I'm just like inspired by them actually. One of my favorite ones is this. I don't want to sound like a creep, but she I don't know how she seems to get it says 2 views on all the videos, but I'm like, this person is great. She is so talented. So I think she's going to be coming up. You'll see her stuff soon. I follow her if you want to look at my people. Anyway, so Spirit is showing me an image of a leaf, actually, like a golden leaf, sort of blowing in the wind. You may have felt that way. Of course, I'm a hippie and I go to the Bob Dylan song. I know, Daffy, you like Bob Dylan. It's like, how many roads? My sister does a really good impression of Bob Dylan. Must a man walk down, blowing in the wind, whatever. The answer is blowing in the wind. I don't know why I'm trying to actually impersonate Bob Dylan, but it's just go with it, okay? He is alive. I'm not channeling him for any younger watchers. So the song is from the 60s. It says the answer is blowing in the wind. It asks all these deep questions like, why are we at war? Why does everything suck? And then it's just like, the answer is blowing in the wind, my friend. We don't really know. It's kind of the answer. Thanks, Bob. I wonder, is Bob a Sagittarius? I'm not sure. He's so philosophical, but anyway, I feel like I should know that. I think I know his astrology somewhere in my heart. I feel like he may be something like a Taurus, but I could be wrong. Anyway, Bob Dylan, free-willin' Bob Dylan. You may be in some sort of state right now where you're free-willin' Bob Dylan. You're just I'm also thinking of the book Dharma Bums, which is by Jack Kerouac, and it's about sort of these writers who live this very alternative lifestyle, and it's really about his group of friends who have these sort of crazy issues and crazy living situations, and the main focus is on their writing, on their on their poetry, and on the Zen stuff and the Dharma of, and it becomes unclear whether the Dharma is about the Dharma of writing or the Dharma of Zen, which I love, or the Dharma of mankind, because it's about a community. It's really a great book. Dharma Bums by Jack Kerouac. I'll put a thing there below. Ooh, my phone's gonna die. So I mentioned Free Will and Bob Dylan. It's a great album, and Blowing on the Wind, because there may be something that you feel like you have to pin down an answer to, and you just don't know. It may be something in the future where you're Spirit's telling me you're trying to make things happen a lot, and you're trying to actually envision a future. Spirit is showing me that you are visualizing, which is great. And maybe you're like, maybe I could do this, maybe I could do that. And that's so cool. But I think that Spirit has a better plan than you have. And so it may feel right now like some things are not, like you're blowing in the wind, and some things that you're trying are not fitting or working. And it may feel like Free Will and Bob Dylan, which is because like it's one of the best. I think that's the name of the album. It has a picture of him and his like the famous. Well, the girlfriend became famous because she dated him, but she also was famous in the fashion world, I think. I forget her name, but anyway, it's a picture of him and his girlfriend walking down the street, and they're kind of just like embodying the hippie essence, I guess, of the time, just like in love and carefree and wearing sort of hippie clothes. I think you're freewheeling Bob Dylan because, like, not by choice. I think you've had to change your mindset. Please excuse if cars go by. I'm in a parking lot right now. I went to Whole Foods. I'm at Whole Foods. I feel like you changed your mindset about your life and your lifestyle and how things are, and you're sort of like, okay, going with the flow a little bit more. You're, you know, maybe you are in some sort of situation like the Dharma Bums, where it's like an in-between or like liminal living situation, or where the focus is on your art more than anything, you know, or where even just mindfulness and Buddhism could be something that you're interested in since you're attracted to this reading. This is about, I want to think this is actually about returning, because when it's upright, it's about going away from an emotional situation, leaving cups that are being offered. And when it's reversed, I want to read it positively. That not all readers would maybe read it that way, but I want to read it as, rather than being abandoned, it's like a return. So there may be some situation where you have found grounding in returning to a place or an emotional situation. And Spirit wants you to know that justice is going to be served for, this keeps coming up in my readings, for injustices that you have felt, you know. I think a lot of your focus, when I look at your sort of energy body, is on other things that are out of your control, instead of being, I'm sorry about the constant like car noises, but it's kind of fun. I'll do another reading where it's like silent and like Zen-like, but actually this is kind of helpful for the reading, because I think say your life is the parking lot that I'm in. You've had a lot of like interruptions. I'm seeing like just like an image of a body with like little sparks shooting up everywhere. Like if the body is your life, you've had a lot of like skirmishes, or like things happen, and you're like wondering, why me, and like, why do these things happen, and it's like so unprecedented, and it's so like not what I planned. And maybe you went through some depressive period where you were like really not seeing that there is a greater spirituality that guides us, you know, even when things aren't working out. Abraham Hicks always says it is working out because it's guiding you to what you really want and what you really need. So that may be hard to hear, especially for people dealing with like illness or, you know, a variety of things like poverty, or I don't know, whatever you're dealing with. Maybe it's interpersonal, maybe it's emotional, maybe it's some trauma that drew you to this reading. But Spirit wants you to know that, you know, first of all, your stalemate is divinely chosen, actually. See that little moon there? You know, it's sort of like guiding her, even though she can't see it. Just the idea of it. She is blindfolded by her situation. She's stuck. She's maybe in between, maybe a choice, or just even in a situation that's binding and afraid to say anything or speak or move. But what she's not seeing, and this is you, what this person is not seeing is you have like a lot, this keeps coming up too in my readings, you have a lot of just like intelligence. I want to say like legal intelligence, because this can be about law, and also just like care for humanity. And you also are incredibly strong mentally. So I feel like that's not giving me an answer though to this sort of like what we're talking about here. I feel like you've gone into a lot of situations open-heartedly and felt like there wasn't, there wasn't reciprocation that was like made sense to you. You're like, I'm putting in so much, maybe in multiple situations in life. And Spirit's showing me like your cup was empty. Spirit's also showing me like a door that you had to walk through, a doorway. Maybe you had to like leave a place, and that represented a literal doorway, like a metaphysical and spiritual doorway to something else. And you may feel trapped because you're outside of where you once were. But this card is sort of just bliss and happiness, joy, all the good stuff, abundance, and feeling seen by the universe. I think that those situations that you jumped full-heartedly into and were met with like a half effort felt like an injustice to you. This is justice reversed. And then also I felt like I want to know why you were brought to those situations. Why was this person brought to these unjust, it sounds like there's multiple unjust situations where you were giving more than receiving. Well, you've had a lot of experiences where you were like, things were taken from you, okay, is how I'm reading this here, like unfairly, like maybe by the world. And your response to that at one point was to, I want to read this as be defenseless, actually, because this way it's defense, it's sort of like attacking, but you didn't know how to be on the attack. You thought that was bad in a lot of your life. Not realizing that actually the best offense is a good defense. It still counts as an offense. You don't have to, one of my favorite quotes is walk softly with a big stick. Sounds suggestive, but it's not. It's actually about a walking stick. It's by Theodore Roosevelt. And it just means like, walking, you don't have to be some big bully to be a leader. You can, your energy is enough to lead. And I think you were led out of these situations into a new doorway in life so that you could, because you're actually physically exhausted from overgiving. And I think that you're going to find new love, actually, that is reciprocal and also makes you a better person. Someone who, like, not that you're a bad person, but like you both make each other better. You both share a common goal, and you both make each other like feel more lighthearted. I'm thinking of Gemini, which is related to the lovers. You both are, I'm seeing an image just of a heart, like an anatomical image of a heart, like from a like from a book. I think that there were literal blockages in maybe one or both of your hearts that like were like metaphysical, but also, spiritual, but also like literal, that you didn't know about. And when you interacted with, I think it's now seeming like one person, I'm picking one of these situations because it sounds like this is a theme that you're going through with a lot, but there was one person who made the most impact. Ooh, and I just randomly shuffled all the cards and pulled the lovers again. Yeah, like, I think Okay, so the story I'm getting now is that it's a lot of like situations where you overgave and you jumped in quickly. Then there was one of those situations where, you know, you trusted your gut and actually it was a caring, loving person, but I don't think it's still happening now. What does Spirit want us to know about this situation? Why were you led into these situations? What does Spirit want us to learn? Okay. Temperance. You know, I think that you have learned when to hold back and let intimacy build over time. And I think you've also learned that sometimes that happens without our consent. You know, sometimes intimacy is built really quickly between two people. I think you also, these situations were brought into your life for you to learn to properly let things die. You may be in a space right now where you don't know what's next. You don't know what birth is coming, but there is a birth coming. I'm hearing from Spirit. I feel like, yeah, the Page of Pentacles. There's an opportunity, but there's also like a new way of seeing, like an inquisitive way of experiencing the world, and perhaps help from a young person. I don't know what that could mean for you, but like maybe in business, maybe you like hire someone. What does Spirit want us to know about this overgiving and what can be done and where you're at now with that? I think there had to be some tower situations where you were just so fed up with, yeah, I'm feeling like maybe you're someone who's very open and you keep choosing people, jobs, family members, whatever, friends who are not open. And so it's like you're trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. You're trying to go to the hardware store and ask for milk and they just don't sell milk there. Do you see? So it could be that when you see these traits in other people that are kind of like you, it scares you because you don't want to see that part of yourself. So then you become the one who's overdoing, overgiving. But really what you need is a partner who is equally intense and into it like you are, and also people who are really into it, like, you know, friends, you know, maybe F your family, or, you know, find the family members that are like this, and a career where you're not overgiving and you're feeling like you're spent all the time, because you're feeling like you're just not financially abundant. You're not feeling like you have your ducks in a row with that. Just gonna tune in a little bit here. When I astral project around your, sorry for all the honking, around your body, viewer, I feel like I see your guides trying to, it's almost like they're putting, I saw you going up a mountain and I saw them putting booby traps, because, and you think that the booby traps are like, you know, you're like, oh gosh, I tripped this way. But the booby traps are put there by Spirit because there's bigger things that are worse, you know, if you went the other way. Do you see what I'm saying? So it may seem like some of these situations, so okay, it's a good thing you didn't like marry someone for 20 years that you were overgiving and you got out while you did, okay? And it may seem really hurtful and painful right now that you're like, wow, I gave so much, but you're not in that situation anymore. And Spirit wants you to know that they made it so, they made situations so that you would be like, that's enough. Same with other situations, you know, whatever, jobs, family, friends, same thing. Spirit put these little booby traps, like, because they were like, oh no, they're not seeing that this situation is like negative. We have to get them out of here. Like, because I think you're a very sweet and caring person, which relates to the Fool, actually, that we got in the beginning, which is Aries. Aries comes in with sort of hoping everything's gonna work out, like sort of a youthful, childlike innocence, right? Especially Aries rising, which I am. So you may have had times in life where you felt like the wool was pulled over your eyes, or, you know, you felt like it wasn't right what was being done, and you've learned a lot from those situations, and now you're sort of a little bit like closed off, I think, energetically. But with spring coming, you're going to be opening up again, as you've done a lot of healing about these situations, and you realize that now that you're in your power, you're seeing the connection with spirit, that like it's been there all along, and sorry, I'm just gonna do this because there's a siren going by. I feel like the siren's telling me that the reading has to end soon. If you're open to it, Mother Mary and Jesus are also, and God, Krishna and Buddha and a variety of other beings, I believe, goddesses and gods and goddesses of nature as well, or just the goddess. They're all there for you, and spirits from your ancestors and just guides that are hopping on your energy for expansion. They're all there for you at any time, really at any time. You're never alone. So as I've said before, my favorite way to connect with spirit is to empty my mind, think of a blank slate, and then ask for a present, and let whatever image comes to mind on that blank slate be the present. And it's also an answer to my question for the day, which usually is something annoying and neurotic. But then whatever image comes to mind, you want to use that and go forward. Say that you see an image of a tool. You may think, what is that tool for? What could that symbolize? What do I need to do? And then make metaphors from there. That's a really good way to start. And then as you go on, you'll use the other senses to connect with spirit. And yeah, I'm being pushed to stop the reading now, but I really, I think that the main message that is, don't have like guilt for things that didn't work out. Don't have like shame, or like, don't beat yourself up, because actually those things didn't work out, and you're where you are right now because this is exactly where you're supposed to be, because spirit wants you to face deeper things from way back so they can be healed. And actually they took you out of a lot of situations for your own protection, not only physically but spiritually, because they don't want you to be wounded, and they want you to work on these older issues that you couldn't have been aware of while you were within these situations. So I am wishing you all the best. I hope you could follow the reading, and I do private readings. It's $45. It's a donation, suggested donation. If you're struggling, I can work with you. And I do Zoom or pre-recorded. And I offer one free email question. If you want to, you can send some vague birthday or name info, but I don't want to get too much of people's info. But if you want, that really helps a lot with general, numerology and astrology stuff. So thank you so much. I love you so much for watching my channel. I hope you have a great day. And just the main feeling that I'm getting is just like, let go of these past situations. Like you get it. The lesson is gotten. Don't rush in without, knowing at this point. Maybe later you'll feel more confident, but at this point, don't rush in without knowing that someone's able to meet you where you need them to be, because that's going to feel like yelling into an empty well for help, and no one's there to help you, and it's sort of hard because you have to figure that out with a lot of people as you go, who's emotionally available and who's not. And the main thing is to be emotionally available to yourself, and remember, spirit is always emotionally available for you.